Hello and welcome to a quick guide of how to use SimulationCraft and SimXySimInfo, a guide brought to you by the Killer Bunnies of Duskwood. So before we get started, we have to go over some resources. I will put the links for these down in the description. The first thing you'll want to download is the desktop application by going to this URL and clicking on Downloads and downloading the appropriate installer for your system. Secondly, you want to get the in-game add-on, which is SimulationCraft. You can download this from the website as you see here, or you can download it through Twitch or the old application known as Curse. Same thing with SimXySimInfo. This is another in-game add-on that could come in handy for you if you want to simulate items that you do not have in your inventory yet. So, once you get everything installed, and you open up the application for SimulationCraft, it should look something like this. You should be on the Welcome tab, and you should have some information about it, little guides, how to use this interface, how to navigate, tips and tricks, all that kind of stuff. You should see this first window. We're going to skip through all this. We're going to go through the options and look at some configurations. At this time, I would recommend pausing the video and taking a screenshot or whatever you can, write it down or something, to so you can match your configuration to this. The only thing, if you are not a US player, I would change your region to whatever your region is. Other than that, everything else should be approximately the same. You want to have active, live, auto. If you can have more iterations than 10,000, go for it. If you don't have a strong computer or a fast computer, if you have an older one, just keep it at 10,000. The fight you want to keep about 5 to 6 minutes, because that's about the average boss fight now. They used to have rage timers for 10 minutes, and sometimes we'd bust those back in the day. So, but these boss fights are roughly about 5, 6, 7 minutes. You want a vary length of 20%. Patchwork is going to be the fight style. Challenge mode is going to be disabled. Default role is heal, which really doesn't matter because, or you can set it as auto. This program right now does not support the healing role, so the numbers you can simulate are for DPS and tanking. Just want to put that out there. Everything else can be the same. Like I said, just pause the video and go over the rest of this stuff and make sure your information matches. After that, we're ready to go and start simulating numbers. So we can go to the Simulate tab. You'll have an empty tab like this. It'll be nothing in there. We'll move that off to the side for now, just for the time being. In the in-game add-on, as you can see, I am in my tank spec. I have I have my tank weapon on. I do not have my tank trinkets on. So let's go ahead and put those on. Tank trinkets. And so we can type in the command /SIMC or SimC. We can get a window that looks like this. This will provide all the data of what your character is wearing. We can Control C or Command C if you're on a Mac. Bring the window back over and paste it in there. Now, if there's a hashtag or a pound sign in front of the line that starts the line, it means that line is commented out. It will not be used to simulate any kind of numbers. This is so you can, for example, you can go like this. You can take this neck piece right here, and if you said, well, I want to try this neck piece that I have on, because it's in your inventory, and you want to swap it out with this neck piece, you can come up here and you can comment out this top one by putting a pound sign, and you can run numbers like that. But that's not what I'm currently wearing, so I want to keep what I have on. Just to make sure, I'm going to repaste everything. I will get it one of these times. There we go. Okay, so this is everything I'm currently wearing in the window you see that's displayed for my character window. And what I can do now is I can simulate. But before I simulate, I will just so we know, this is going to be for blood. I can rename this tab Blood Spec Tank Trinkets, just so I know what's going on and what I'm simulating. All right. So, and when I simulate, it'll bring up the Results tab, the same name. And so in here, I can say my average DPS for a fight will come out to be this. My average heals for the fight will be this. This is mostly self-healing. Now, if you have trinkets that heal other people, this will probably be included in there. So, what I can do now is go back to Simulate. I want to make a new tab. I want to put my DPS trinkets back on. Let's see, which ones did I have on earlier? This one and this one. And I run SimC again, and it does an inventory of my equipment, what's on right now, and it brings me a new window with the new information. And the only thing that should be different in this one is the trinkets. So I'll paste that in there. I'll scroll up. I'll look at the trinket. I'll look at the ID. We'll just compare these two lines to the previous lines. We'll make sure they're different. Yes, they're definitely different. Everything else is the same. Alright. So I'm going to rename this to Blood Tank, but I'm going to do DPS Trinks, just because I'll know what that is afterwards. So when I hit Simulate, I get results, and now I have two different results I can compare. I can see how my numbers went up or down based off of what I'm using as either a trinket or a ring. In this case, it is just my trinkets I changed out. So we can see my healing, my self-healing went from 127k down to 118k. If that's something I'm going for, because maybe my DPS went up or down, because my DPS went up, but my heals went down. So that's something to compare. Now, one thing I noticed here is the numbers are not going to be exact. You're not simulating for, well, it said I should pull 1.2 million DPS in a fight, and I didn't pull that number. I pulled either way more or way less. That's not what the simulation is for. It is for what direction the numbers go when you swap out gear. If the numbers go in an upward direction, like by comparing the two different results of the simulations, you'll want to go with the one that gives you the results in the direction that you want, if that makes sense. Like if I want my healing, if I want to do more healing, then I want to stick with this one. It may not be 127k, but it's going to be higher than this set of trinkets. So that is my example for tanking. I will switch specs and I will do a frost one real quick, just to give you an idea. And now we'll go over using some gear that maybe you don't have yet in the in your inventory. And I'm going to scoot over here real quick to the auction house so I can show you how this works. Maybe I have an item on the auction house I was looking at, I really want to buy it, but I don't know if it's going to be good for my DPS or not yet. So I am switching over to my DPS spec, which is Frost. I know it's not the best Death Knight DPS spec, but it's what I enjoy playing. So yeah. And right now I have a 4-set bonus versus my pants, or versus my legendary pants. And what I'll do is I will compare, swapping out a couple pieces of gear. 4-set bonus versus some Lego pants, and probably my belt too, because I don't have that on. So quick, there we go, Lego belt. So I have two Legos on right here. I'm gonna compare. If I trade out my 4-set bonus for, you know, downgrading the neck piece but giving me the Lego pants, let's see what those results come out to. Alright, so again, I'll do SimC. This is my 4-set. And I'll bring this back over, and I will go simulate. I'll make a new one. I'll paste this in here, and I will call it DK Frost 4-set. I could call it $ set, but we'll call it 4-set. That way I know I'm simulating my 4-set. And so we'll simulate this, and we'll see that I should be pulling about 1.1 million DPS in average in a fight. Okay, at the end my number should line up to be about this. Higher or lower, you know, give or take, depending on how much I had to go run around or whatever as a melee. That will depend completely on some of that stuff. Alright, so next I'm going to swap out some pieces of gear here. I'm gonna downgrade this piece to another enchanted piece of gear, and I'm going to put on my Lego pants. And that's the only thing I'm swapping out. I lost the 4-set bonus, but I got some super high level pants that have my Syndragos's Fury gets reduced, the cooldown gets cut in half. So we're gonna simulate those numbers, see what those come up with. So I'll go back to Simulate, open a new tab, paste all my stuff in there, rename the tab so I know exactly what it is. DK Frost Lego Pants. Sure. Simulate. And now we can compare the results, these two results right here. My DPS with the 4 set is 1.15 million. My DPS with Lego Pants is 1.0 million. And so this goes to show that I will pull more DPS with the 4 set bonus versus my Lego Pants. Alright, so the overall gist is I'm not expecting to pull 1.15 million. I'm expecting to pull more in this configuration than this configuration. That's what I'm expecting. And as far as I know from what I've simulated and what I've experienced in raids, as far as my raids that I run with my guild, that is true. So let me go over one more item here. We'll move this off to the side one more time. Let's just say, let me go put my regular stuff back on. Alright. Let's just say, hey, I want to know, let's find a piece of, let's see if there's a pair of boots on the auction house. I'm not sure if this auction house has a pair of boots. Feet, plate, search. Nope. Look for a couple more pieces before we quit and call it a day. You know, the waist. Let's just say I don't like my waist that I have now. So I have this waist. Let's just say I wanted to simulate this waist right here. For whatever reason, whatever. Maybe because this one has mastery, which is supposed to be a good stat. I can stack more mastery on it, and I want to compare it to this waist right here. So let's do this. This is where Smexy Sim Info comes in. So you type in SSIN, and it brings you this window right here. And this is a belt. I'm going to, well, it has 3 gem sockets in it, so I want to add 3 gems to it, and I want to add mastery, 200 mastery to this. So I'll click in this window and I'll link it down there. I hit OK, and it brings me this little window right here. Alright. Now, this gets a little tricky because what I have to do is I have to copy and paste all this stuff again in this window. So I have this waiting. This is a line that's waiting for me. Okay. I'm gonna configure this to so 4 set. I'm gonna swap up my belt. Okay. So let's copy and paste all this. We'll do the same thing. We'll just say we're gonna mess with the belt though. We already determined that my 4 set is better than my Lego Pants, so we'll close out the Lego Pants, okay? And then the results will close out the Lego Pants as well. Simulate. We'll call this DK Frost 4 set belt, because I'm gonna swap out the belt. So everything in these 2 tabs are exactly the same. What we're going to do though is we're going to take this line, we're going to say that belt we had on there, we're going to come in here, we're going to replace it. The waist, we're just going to comment out that line. This line up here is the old belt. This belt is the belt I'm currently wearing, but we're going to substitute it for the belt on the auction house. And if you notice here, there's 3 gems in it, the 3 mastery gems. And we're going to see if these results turn out better than my 4 set in the belt I'm wearing, with the one that's actually for Death Knight. Well, specifically for Death Knight. So we're going to simulate this, and now we can compare the 4 set, 1.11 million DPS, 1.15 million DPS. So if I was to purchase this belt and put it on, it probably wouldn't be a good idea. My DPS would probably suffer a little bit according to the simulation. So that would kind of deter me, even though I can stack mastery, it comes with mastery stat, I can stack more mastery in there, I can even stack a strength gem in there. But overall, the simulation shows that it overall won't be a good idea. For the stats for that one piece, it may be, but I'm losing on a bonus. That is the Obliterate deals 10% more damage and has 15% chance to refund 1 rune. Alright? And so that bonus goes a long way, and it shows that in simulation. And you can do this with almost anything else, or rather you can do it with anything else that's on the auction house. If it's from a dungeon journal, I'll just kind of show you what you can do from the dungeon journal, from the raid journal. Let's say I wanted to do heroic, I don't know, kill Jaden, and I said, you know, I really want to roll on this trinket here for Frost. This trinket right here. I want to see how good this trinket will be for my DPS spec, and you know, let's just say it does come with a gem socket. We can add a gem to it using this simulation here, using this SimulationCraft little interface. We can say I want to add a gem, I want to add a mastery gem to this piece. So I'm going to pop this trinket into here. You know, when I hit OK, you'll see that I got the trinket. It's got a little bonus ID on it. It also has a gem ID, and that means I have attached a gem onto it for simulation purposes. Okay, so I can copy this. I can go back to SimulationCraft, go back to my simulation, and I can, you know what? Which trinket do I want to replace? My top or bottom one? Now keep in mind, they're labeled trinket 1 and 2. The simulation always, the SimulationCraft info will always pop out trinket 1, so you have to be mindful of which trinket slot you are going to replace and modify it appropriately. If I'm replacing my bottom trinket, which is the one that pops out the orbs, and I don't like that one, I can say, well, I'll probably replace that one, and I'll change this to number 2, and I'll comment out trinket number 2. Now, this will be my active trinket. It'll simulate it as if I have it equipped. All right, and so, just for gee whiz, I'm going to rename this to trinket, actually belt plus trinket, or and trinket. Alright, now I simulate, that way my result comes out as such, and 1.10 million DPS, which is still lower than my 4 set with the trinkets I had on, even with an extra gem. So this is a good way to simulate your numbers if you're going after gear and it looks good because the equip or the use looks really good. You can run the numbers here without even having looted it, without even having run the raid yet. Before you even consider spending your seals on a piece of equipment that drops out of a dungeon or that comes off the auction house, or even from a Mythic Plus, you can run the numbers in here real quick and you can see if your DPS goes up or if it goes down in the simulation. The numbers will not be exact, the direction will be accurate, as long as you, this isn't meant to insult anybody, but as long as you know how to play your class correctly, you will see that the direction this points you in is correct. So, with that said, I just want to go over a couple things on here real quick. The enchants that are available in this expansion are for the neck, cloak, and the ring. The simulation does not take into account the shoulder enchants because those don't give any kind of DPS or healing boost. Those are for looting, and it doesn't take into the account the belt enchant for engineers. It only takes into the account the neck, the cloak, and the enchant, or ring enchant. So some things you could do is you could override a gem. Let's say I do have a gem here. This is my boots, and I have a haste gem. I can override the gem with a mastery gem instead. I can say, hey, I want to link these boots in here. Before I even purchase a gem, because let's say I heard my stats changed on my Death Knight, according to Icy Veins or Noxic or whoever else, whatever forums or theory crafters you guys use to get support for playing your class. You want to run the numbers first and see before you go spending money on gems. Unless you just got tons of money and tons of gold and you don't really care, you're not going to miss it. But if you're on some kind of budget like most of us are, then you'll want to run the numbers first. And it's a good way just to save a little bit of money and test it out first. So I got this right here. The gem ID will be this for my for changing it to mastery. Now if you notice over here, so up here this says 151584. I don't know if you can read that or not, but that's what it says. In my 4 set, my boots, my feet, the gem ID is 151583. The 583 is the haste gem. The 584 is the mastery gem. So that's how you can tell the difference on, hey, did my gem actually change? And so you come over here and you can say, you know what, I want to try putting the mastery gem on instead. And the piece of gear I'm actually wearing, the one with the haste gem, I'm gonna pop that out real quick. Now, when you override things, the string gets a little jumbled up, but it actually doesn't matter if it's jumbled up as long as it's delimited by commas, and as long as everything it has all the components in it, like the gem and the ID. It has a bonus ID still. It doesn't matter what order they're in, as long as they're all there. All right, so you can do the same thing for any piece. For the gem, that is. The gem, you can attach a gem to any piece. You can override a gem for any piece. For the enchants, you can only override enchants for pieces that are supported in Legion. So only pieces, as I mentioned before, that are supported in Legion for enchants are the neck, the cloak, and the rings. Let's just do one for rings real quick. These ones don't have sockets in them. But let's just say I wanted to, let's get a little creative real quick, and we'll call it quits, and you can practice on your own. I want to override the enchant on my ring, whichever ring I link in there. They both have haste, and I want to add a gem. Now, when it comes to overriding and adding, I would not try to select both of these at the same time. The results come out kind of wonky, and I just wouldn't do it unless you know exactly how to manipulate the strings in SimulationCraft. I mean, go for it. But if you really want just a kind of point and click and give me numbers now, I would not recommend trying to do both these at the same time. So none of these have a gem on it. I'm going to add a gem because sometimes they drop with gem sockets. So I'm going to see if ring enchant, and it already has a haste one, but I want to see what it comes out with mastery on instead, right? And then I want to add another mastery to that and see how much my DPS goes up, or see how much it goes down, or if it goes up or goes down. So I'm going to link this in here. Get this guy, finger 1, even though it's really a finger 2. And then I'm going to undo this little change real quick. And I am actually replacing finger 2, because that's the one I linked, okay? I'm just going to comment out this one. That's the ring this is the one I'm actually wearing. This is the one that I want to simulate. I want to simulate the same ring with a different enchant with an added gem. So you can see 151584. As I mentioned before, that's the mastery gem. And we're just going to run this with the simulation and see what it comes out with. So if I was able to pull these results off, swapping out the enchant and adding an extra socket for, let's just say it dropped in the dungeon, will it make my stuff go up, make my DPS go up? 1.154 and 1.155. So yes, it would go up. Not by a whole lot. I mean, overall fight, I'd pull 1,000 more DPS. So that's on the average for the fight. I mean, that adds up over time for total damage done. But this is my damage per second on average for the fight. So yes, 1,000 does add up over 5 minutes. 1,000 per second. You multiply that out to be 5 minutes worth of time. That will add your total damage done. It will make a significant difference. So just something to think about, something to consider. If you can get a piece like that and it does have a gem socket and whatever, then and someone's willing to give it up, yeah, go ahead and take it, because as you can see, small changes like that will boost your DPS and get you better numbers. And that could be the make or break, hopefully not, but that could be the make or break of whether or not you down the boss or not. So with that said, this has been almost a half an hour long, so I don't want to go any further. If you have any questions, just drop a comment or drop a comment in the comments and let me know if you have any questions. Let's see. Or you can direct message me and I can get you into Discord and we can chat about how to use this if you have any questions or if you're confused about anything or anything like that. That way, you know, this isn't death by YouTube. So I hope this guide was helpful for you. I hope it helps you improve your performance in raids. Again, if you have any questions, just let me know. And if you find this useful, please share it with others. And check out the rest of the Killer Bunnies channel and see our progress and see our streams. And you know, if you're looking for a guild to call home, if you are a WoW player and maybe your server died or something, then we were welcoming a lot of players, and you can check out our links for that in the description down below. So thanks again for watching, and until next time, you know, have fun in Azeroth, and we'll see you next time.